important.
Okay? Cheers.
You don't want drinking.
It's water. So, the yoga of giving. I remember when I was a small child in secondary school, primary school, I don't know how they call it, was studying in Italy. And one day, they took us for a special class. There were a bunch of people, they came out of nowhere. I didn't understand what exactly is going on. It was kind of a humanitarian attempt to show us something, some nicer principle to instruct us in what's going on in the world and how to remedy something like this. So they put us in another classroom with a bunch of other students, and we were just kids, and they started explaining there is so much grief in the world, so much poverty, and people dying from starvation, and natural disasters. We all know these things. Just with a click with it in the TV, you can see so many things going on. And then they asked us, do you know what is the reason for all this? And we're just a bunch of little kids. I didn't know, like, what is the reason? What could possibly be the reason? And then they explained that all the poverty in the world was caused, all this equality is caused by greed, just because people are greedy. And that was kind of something new to me. I understood that I'm living in an interesting world, and they're also showing the statistic. 1%, the richest, even it's becoming less and less than 1%, the more the group of the elite is becoming smaller, and the more the rest of the world is becoming poorer and poorer. And as they say, there is this saying that the world can satisfy everybody's needs, but not everybody's greed. Because greed is unlimited. More and more money, more. So then I grew up. I remember in my teenage years, my late teenage years, I started awakening to the crude reality of the modern world, kind of. It wasn't a very pleasant experience, to tell you the truth, you know. So many things were coming up, you know. You have to work, you have to study, and there was so much selfishness. Everybody is trying to prevail. Everybody is thinking how to build his own fortress and defeat the competition, kind of. And it's quite evident, you know. People are kind of on the journey of, how they call it, the rat race. They say that even if you win the rat race, you still remain a rat in the end. So I was kind of bewildered, you know. I couldn't fit in this system where you have to just, you know, work. Most of the times you just have to find a work, you know, because you have to survive. Whatever is available. You don't like it? Who are you to have these pretensions? You know, just work. You have to survive. Otherwise, next month you're gonna be on the street. And maybe after a few years, your boss will give you, how do you say? Promotion, a raise, yeah. Promotion, and you earn $200-300 more, and that's good, you know. You save $200-300 more for your vacation in summer, 2 weeks, 2 weeks a year, good enough. And of course you have to study before you have to, really grind in the school, All these teachers who smoke, they don't really like their job. They don't really, I'm not everyone, but in general, that's what I experienced in the scholastic system in Italy and in my home country, Bulgaria. It was kind of a painful experience, and everybody's just, thinking about himself and living this kind of a selfish lifestyle. And then I started kind of having an existential crisis. What is all this about? Why are people like this? Why are they so selfish? What is this selfish system? The capitalism itself, it's such a selfish concept. Divide and conquer. Prabhupada was explaining how United Nations, yet every year the flags are expanding. The nations are not getting united, apparently. There is a fundamental problem. So, in this way, I started looking deeper into my life and trying to understand what's wrong. Why, even though people thought me, this is how the world is. This is, if you just do this, follow the stereotype, you'll be happy. Still, I wasn't happy. And then I started realizing that even the people who are speaking these things, even they're not so happy. Nobody's really happy in this world. And so then I started looking, I did my research on the web. Fortunately today we have all the information. Just a few clicks on your phone, you can Google anything. And I opened myself to the traditions of the Eastern world. Kind of controversial, Zen, Buddhism, meditation, yoga, the mystic yogis in the Himalayas, vegetarianism. Why? Why don't you just eat McDonald's? It's like a few clicks and you can order some burgers in your home, don't bother cooking, all these vegetarian things. Anyway, details. And I started opening myself to spirituality, basically. And there were these revolutionaries, these philosophers they had a message for the whole world. So I was kind of fascinated by many of these personalities, especially people like Jesus Christ, something that stood up to me. I wasn't really religious. I was quite inimical, actually, because the religions, I couldn't really, I saw so much grief caused by religion, so much division, and they were also very wealthy while poverty is reigning in Africa and Asia and so many other places. So I wasn't very fascinated. But actually I looked in the life of saintly people like Jesus Christ, and I discovered that actually really interesting concepts. Like, for example, Jesus, he lived by his word, and his word was that I am here to serve the others. That's what he said. And I thought about it, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Why would you serve the others? Why? Why don't you just earn your money and just build your home and your family? And why do you have to give to others? Why do you have to give your time to them, or whatever resources you have? But we see how Jesus came here with a message, and he walked the talk, and he helped so many people. And 2,000 years later, today, people still talk about his deeds. At least we know him. We grew up in Christianity, kind of, most of us. Maybe not directly raised Christians, but we know well. Muhammad was there also, and their followers. I saw how, you know, you can see in the world, in America, many cities are named after the saints who followed Jesus' example. Because it's like iconic what he did. It's a legacy. And it stayed for so many years, you know, he's one of the most famous people in the world. Just because he brought this revolutionary concept of giving yourself to others, giving your time, and just being of service. So that was something that really inspired me. That was something that created kind of opening in my pained heart. And I was inspiring to understand more. Who are these people who are striving for this? And then my path continued in my early 20s. I was getting more and more kind of disillusioned by the modern concept of living, and I opened myself to the yogic process. I practiced some asanas, chanting of mantras, healthier lifestyle, and after a while, I got some major realizations. I felt like I should stop wasting my time and just pursue my dreams. And I started traveling around the world. And at that time, I met the Bhakti yogis, who were very, very interesting people. You know, they came out of nowhere in the beautiful city of Florence in Italy. They came out of the corner and they were like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know how they are, you know? And I was like mesmerized, like, wow, who are these people, you know? They were beaming with happiness and purity. You could see it, you could touch it. It's touchable. And one of the monks, he came to us and I was with my friend, we were traveling, he gave us a book, and we gave him a donation and so forth. And then we went, they invited us to the temple, and that was my first experience with the Bhakti yogis. And when I went there, I saw these devotees, that's how they call themselves. It was something that I heard for the first time also. The devotees of Krishna. I was amazed by them because they were raising up early and they were really trying to be better people. They were really trying to not speak bad words. They were trying to be kind to each other and especially to the people outside. And they were trying to spread these teachings abroad. They weren't just keeping it for themselves. In fact, there was a clear concept of a missionary activity. Everybody who opens himself to yoga, he is kind of obliged, you know, it's your duty to give back to the world. So I was reintroduced again to the same concept of selfless life of giving yourself, giving your resources. And it was interesting. I was open to it finally, after so many years of wasting time, hedonism, as they call it, partying here and there. I was finally ready to embark on a spiritual journey. So the message was clear. In Bhakti Yoga, you practice selfless service. You give your mind, your body, and your words in the service of the Supreme. And service of the Supreme means ultimately service to humanity, because everything is sprouting from the Supreme. This is how we understand the Supreme, because the relationships we form in this world, they are ultimately leading us to a spiritual relationship, of course, relationship with spiritual people. And then I started practicing Bhakti Yoga, traveling around Europe, in India, and it was quite an adventure. And at one point, I came here in New York, and in this beautiful project, we're also engaging in the same activities. I remember the other day, I was in the gift shop, and one lady came who, what she does is, she works, I don't know exactly what she's working, but in her free time, she makes sweets, the best sweets in the world. I told her you should open a sweet shop because her sweets are amazing. Sometimes if you come in the Sunday program, sometimes she comes, and if you see her, just go to her, she'll probably have some sweets for you. And amazing. And that same lady, she came into the gift shop, and before that, actually, there was one devotee who comes to serve with us. He's a young boy, and he's very humble. He doesn't have money, so he was asking me for a kanti mala because he's broke. He needed a kanti mala and beads. So he came to me. He was like very humble. Can you please, I really need it. And I told him, yeah, no problem. Afterwards, when we close the gift shop, I'll come to you. I'll give you whatever you need. You've done so much service with us. And then the lady came, and he was looking at something nearby. He was checking some other item, and she saw him. She was speaking with me, wanted to buy something, and then she saw him to the side, and she told him, you need some? Yeah, bring it here, I'll buy it for you. And he was like, no, don't, no worries, no, please, if you need it, I'll buy it for you, no problem. So like this back and forth, she insisted, and he kind of, he couldn't win the argument. So she said, okay, I'll buy it for you. And then she said, do you need something else? And he's like, no, that's okay, no, please, get some more stuff. And then he's like, okay, and I told him, you needed the kanti mala and the bead bag also, get one bead bag. And then he got the bead bag, and she's like, you need something else? Come on, more. And he was like super embarrassed. And I was like telling him, yeah, if she's paying, no problem, just you should get, he needed a little bit of encouragement. And he got the bead bag and this, and then I told him, let's go to the other side. He got a hoodie, he got a chador. It was becoming expensive, and in the end, it was like $200 of stuff, and she just pulled out her card and she just paid like this. It was amazing, It was like a mystical experience. She didn't know anything about what's going on in his heart, yet she felt that he was in need, and she just gave him. It wasn't a problem, and they were both so happy in the end. Nobody lost anything. Was so happy. But on the other side, we see what's going on in the world. You go outside in New York, especially now with the freezing winter. They did an experiment some years ago, like the freezing child experiment or something. It wasn't real, but they did it kind of for real. They took this little child and they put him somewhere in Manhattan. He was without clothes. He was just having one plastic bag. He was wrapping himself up, and he was like freezing, And he was, in the video it's shown how he's like, I'm freezing, help me. And people are just passing by. Nobody was stopping. nobody was giving a damn about him. And at one point he just lay on the ground, and it was already 1 hour. Nobody stopped to help him. And in the end, one person came to help him, and surprisingly, he was also a homeless person. And then they spoke, and he embraced him. He said, "Don't worry, buddy. I know what you feel. You know, I'm gonna take my jacket." He gave him his jacket, and it's an interesting thing to see how this modern so-called civilization is actually desensibilizing us. I don't know. Maybe if I was there, maybe I would have also passed by. You know, we are all raised in the same environment, and these things are happening every day. You know, it's very sad. We see homeless people. They come to our temple and they just want to enter inside and to heat themselves up a little bit and get a little meal, and then they leave. And many of them are so disturbed mentally because of what's going on. You know, this is the finest product of the modern civilization, all these people, you know. Mental illness is one of the major health problems in the world nowadays, and it's becoming more and more expensive. The richer are becoming richer, and the poorer are becoming poorer and mentally diseased, anxious, and so forth. So it is an act of revolution to be a giver in this world. To give your words, to give your energy outside. And this is actually where ultimate happiness lies, in giving ourselves, in helping others. Because when we help others, we are actually helping ourselves. And therefore, the teachings of the Bhakti Yoga are urging us that we have to understand this principle, and we have to develop compassion. Not just compassion, oceanic compassion. So that we surrender and just start giving selflessly. And of course, we don't want to just help people materially, because you can feed somebody with a nice meal. You can even give him education so that he can have a house, a job, a family, and all those nice things. But ultimately, it will all end. And then what happens? And then another birth. And another birth. And then who knows? Sometimes you go down, sometimes you go up. Who knows when you come back again for this golden opportunity. So this is the speciality of the essence of the teachings of the Vedic scriptures, that we have to understand this ultimate knowledge, and we have to give it to others, because it will save them from the greatest danger. The greatest danger is continuation of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the only problems that we have in our life, actually. Nobody wants disease, but disease comes. Nobody wants to get old. Everybody wants to be beautiful and young, you know. When you become old, you start moving like a robot. Not nice. And nobody wants to die. In the songs, they sing, "I will love you forever, forever and ever." In the fables, they also say, "And they lived happily ever after, forever and ever." So nice, right? So this is the inherent nature of the soul. The soul is hankering for this complete freedom, for eternal life, because this is the original position. So this is the ultimate boon, to understand this knowledge, to embody it, and to give it away. And when we give it away, this is the only currency that the more you give, the more you get. You know, they say, Saint Francis of Assisi said, "It is in giving that you receive." If you really want to be happy, we have to give more than what we have. And this is how our life will unfold and will become one beautiful lotus flower. All the gifts that we have inside of us, they will sprout from this love, from this universal love, because this is our destiny. We will never be satisfied with anything else, anything less in this world. So, I want you to reflect on these things that were discussed now. I don't just want you to live here and, prasadam, have some prasadam and then. These are really serious things because people are really suffering outside. We have to develop this sense of urgency. We are the people who have to put our hearts, we have to take up the austerity and try to make a random act of kindness every day in our life, to meditate on this principle. It's a process. It's not that from one day to the other you just go out and you give yourself completely. It will be artificial, but small random acts of kindness, these are the ones that change the world. Like, for example, I remember when in September I went outside for a few days in a row to do some commissions, and in these few days somehow I met few people randomly like this. In Trader Joe's I bought something, I just spoke with one guy, and immediately, oh, you're vegan, whatnot, spirituality. And I was in Central Park, was wearing my devotional skirt, and one homeless lady saw us. She's like, oh, we gave her a book, we spoke a little bit. Turned out she's like a fan of John Lennon, George Harrison, who joined the movement also in the 70s. So we had a nice interaction, conversation. And we gave her the book, Chant and Be Happy, the interview with George Harrison. She was like, wow, nice. And then we continued. There was one person who was watching us like this. And I just approached him, like, how are you, buddy? Nice to meet you. Have a book. And he just took the book and we had such a nice interaction. It felt like the people are really thirsty. Especially here in New York. There's so much, we call it, I don't know if you ever heard about this word. We call it impersonalism. Disconnection. Disconnecting from our true self. The more materialistic one becomes, the more we would say he's impersonal. They say things are made to be used and people are made to be loved. Nowadays, it's the opposite. Yes. So, I'm not coming here as some kind of a saint and telling you this is the way. And, we are all afflicted, more or less, from this modern disease, the real epidemic. COVID is nothing in comparison. It's very deep. So, as they say, be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. So like this, people are waiting outside. They're waiting for us, for a little bit of our time, a little conversation. one hello, one small cookie. You know, we can bake something for our neighbors. You know, and people they really want to engage in a meaningful conversation. They really need some more love, because those who are evil, those who are greedy, those who are stingy and bitter, they are the ones who need it the most. If we see beyond, if we develop this broad-minded mentality, we would see that behind every pain, behind every shortcoming, there is a reason. So this is what the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic philosophy is urging us to do, to become broad-minded and to embody this philosophy in our lives. So this is what I wanted to share with you, dear devotees, friends, guests. If you have any comments, reflections, questions, or even feedback, maybe I said something wrong, please.
I really resonate with what you said about impersonalism. I've lived in a few places in the U.S. and only in New York is it like not appropriate to like talk to strangers. The level of like defensiveness is just like you're afraid to almost glance and look in someone's eye for what they might think about you because you did that. And it takes a lot of emotional strength to be able to like overcome someone else's defensiveness. But in the few times that I have approached strangers or created like a space for just a random conversation in the park, like some of my favorite moments in life. You know?
Direct experience,
Yeah.
first-hand realization, there you go. Yes, when we connect, when we're a real society based on spiritual principles of love, compassion, kindness, this is reality. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, knowledge is not just mere book knowledge, information. You know, information you can get from Google, from so many sources. But real knowledge means refinement of character and qualities, humility, peacefulness, and so forth. So, yeah, very nice reflection. New York, we call it the heart of Maya. Have you ever heard about this? He knows, he did the Be a Monk challenge, so he knows about Maya. Maya means that which is not. That which is not is basically illusion or ignorance, avidya. So, because people don't know what is the true benefit for them, therefore they're acting out of ignorance, and they don't know. So we have to, it is our duty to give them the right perspective. And it's not that easy. You can't just approach anybody. So it's an art, it's a science. And here in the temple, for example, we have the facilitation of all these kind of things. We have the philosophy, we have the missionary activities, we have the groups, we have people who are more experienced, who can lead us. We can engage even in the temple, who is inviting so many guests. We go out and we do book distribution. We meet the people, not just because we have to distribute the books, but meeting the people. And I'm planning personally to organize a program for the future where we come together as a group, because as a group is easier. We kind of motivate each other, and we just go out and meet the people. And it's the biggest realizations and the biggest adventures come from this, you know, approaching the people who are in need. So stay tuned. We're gonna organize an event where everybody will be invited to come, whoever wants, and we'll go together outside and meet the people and distribute books. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Arriba. Anybody else?
Yeah, for sure. I want to go.
Yes, yes. He's been coming to the Harinam so many times.
Yeah, I love it. That's what anchors me to, like, this practice and this community.
Yeah.
I always tell people, when I would teach my yoga class, I would be like, okay, just go to the park, sit with them. Don't ask it, don't overthink it. Just sit with them and chant. Then you will see what that is about. They're like, I'm like, no, try it.
Getting out of the mind, The mind is the old software. So now we have to reinstall the software, and it's takes some diligence, takes some effort. But we're not the mind. The mind is just a machine. So we look at the mind as a device, and we have to tweak it properly. And then when the mind, from the worst enemy, when the mind becomes the best friend, miracles. As Keshav Swami says, we're walking among saints and we're witnessing miracles. We just have to open our eyes and see every day. Anybody else? Any comment? Question?
Well, just a comment or appreciation. I appreciated that you brought up that sometimes, we should cultivate this mood of giving and like generosity, but even with people who are like maybe angry or greedy or stingy or something, they need it the most. And I appreciate that you said that, because it's easy to be nice to someone who's nice.
Yes.
But it's very difficult to be nice or giving to someone who's angry or attacking you or hostile or something like that. But every morning here at the temple we have a class that we listen to. We read this ancient book called Srimad Bhagavatam, and one of the classes there was a speaker, and he was saying that actually these people are kind of like put on our spiritual path to give us the opportunity to grow in our heart of giving and being able to practice our spirituality. So actually those people are like also giving to us the opportunity. It's not just that I'm so good so I can give, but actually like we can see that the world kind of works in that way too, where we're also receiving constantly.
A life lesson. When fire comes, how do we respond? With fire. That's the natural, the default system that everybody has. Fire comes, bigger fire. Which fire will win? We'll see in the hospital. So we have to respond with water to the fire. It's a life lesson for everybody, but it's good that we discuss these things. That's why we have these gatherings. When we discuss them, we contemplate on them, and we train ourselves. And then when we're outside, provoking situation will come, and then gradually one will be able to raise above. Because otherwise, what is the difference? Otherwise, you're the same as everybody else. What makes us different? This is the superior knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Okay, are we ready with that thing?
Yes.
You do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up here. I asked Premamani, Mataji, to make some, how do you call them?
Cards.
Cards. Papers with different verses of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to distribute to everybody, and I don't know, you can accept it as the will of the providence that you got that verse. That you got that verse, and please read it when you go home or later, whenever you want, and contemplate on the content. Don't just read it quickly and that's it, but try to analyze every principle discussed, every interesting notion. They have this Lectio Divina. I don't know if you ever heard it. The Christian monks, they really study in depth every sentence. And the Gita is full with, saturated with very deep knowledge. It's a living wisdom. When you come back again and again and you're like, wow, a new thing came up from the same sentence. And then, when you do that, come back again, maybe next time. I'm here every Tuesday, especially when Prasadam comes, I'm always there. And if you have some questions, you can ask me. I want to give my time to you. Or if you have some reflections, or maybe you want to teach me something. Maybe I can ask you a question. Maybe you want to share something that I don't know. Like this. Please take. Yes.